This is Master Your Mindset with Coach Mark.
What is going on, my people? Welcome back to another microcast episode. I have 5 pages of podcast notes here today, but I'm going to make this into a microcast episode for you guys because it is tag teaming up with the episode that we had on Monday. If you haven't listened to that one, which is really the art of asking yourself and others powerful questions, you really need to dive into that one. But what we're going to be talking about in this specific podcast is we're going to talk about how to end self-sabotage. Really, I want to show you how to end like this battle that you have in your head so you can actually unlock the lid of your potential and start influencing others to do the same. If you can't, if you take a look at this from a bird's eye view, when you are in the process of sabotaging yourself, of having these thoughts that are like taking you down the path that you don't want to go down, yes, you're going to be influencing yourself. But in reality, you're also going to be influencing other people because if you have humans, like little humans, they're called kids, and they see you actually sabotaging yourself, see you talking to yourself negatively, seeing you, shoulding all over yourself because I should have done this or I should have done that. Like you're like their superhero, right? So what are they going to now do knowing that maybe you don't feel like you're good enough? How are they going to ever feel like they're good enough, right? So really, I want to really help you nail this, shut the door, finish out the self-sabotage because there's no positive things that ever happen, especially when you think about the influence that the people that you're influencing to continue to do the same thing yourself, okay? So what most people do is they focus on what their brains initially tell them, okay? They focus on what their head voice initially tells them. Now, you heard me talk about this podcast multiple times about the head versus the heart. If you're in one of our certification programs or if you're in the 626, we've talked a lot about that because it's constantly out to keep you safe. Your head will do whatever it can to keep you safe and protected and doing the same things you've always done. It's what happens in relationships. It's what happens in business. It's what happens in leadership. It's just the way that our brains work. And when we understand that, we can now go to that next level where we change the direction of where it's going, all right? Now, I really want you to think about times when you ask yourself terrible questions or you get bad answers that are related to you self-sabotaging, meaning talking negatively about yourself or shoulding on yourself, all right? Some things like, man, why can't I do this? I knew this wasn't going to work. Why do I suck at doing this? Why is this not working out for me like it's working out for blank? See, your brain goes down these paths of questions because if you think about one of those questions is like, why can't I do this? Your brain doesn't naturally give you answers that are related to how you could do it. It's going to find evidence on the outside of why you can't do this, right? So if I think, man, what's wrong with me? Why can't I do this? I'm going to be like, oh, it's because of this, because I'm a policeman, because of my past, because of this, because of this, because of this. It's not searching for the answer because you're programming it. You're sending Google over here on a wild goose chase and you're programming it with why is this not whatever? Why am I not good enough? Just a little bit of a side note. That's literally what you can do on Google. If you can literally, if you wanted to put up go into Google and type a question in and you put a bad question in there, it's going to show you bad answers. If you go into hey, why coronavirus is the worst thing that ever happened, you're going to type that in search. You're going to find a lot of things as a result of that, right? But if you put something else that has a different spin on it, you're going to get different results from that too. It's the way that Google works, but it's also the way that our brain works. Is if you ask great questions, you're going to get great answers. But if you ask bad ones, you're going to go down that path too. All right. Now, this is what we want to make sure that we pay attention to. And this is when life coaching really comes into play. So last Monday, I talked about asking yourself great questions to find answers in your life and to help not only you find answers, but also other people find answers by asking great questions. But this comes another level deep when you start thinking about the questions that you ask that are sabotaging yourself, sabotaging your results, and really beating yourself up, all right? That's why we have a specific thing that we use, a tool. It's called the push method, all right? It's the super systematic and duplicatable way of getting you to take the right actions every single time. Because it doesn't help you focus on actions. It helps you focus on in here, which will get you to feel a certain way, and it'll get you to take certain actions, all right? Now, I can't share with you exactly how the entire push method works on a podcast here. I literally have a certification program, and it takes multiple weeks for people to actually not only understand it, but then to practice it. But I can help you by sharing a little bit of the concepts behind it, so that way you can understand when you're kind of doing this for yourself, all right? Now, I want to break down what typically could happen in a scenario that you're going through and show you how you're actually sabotaging yourself, all right? Now, I want you to picture that you're trying this new technique, new way of doing something in your business, right? Whether it's you're doing a new webinar, you're trying to get like a promotion at work, you're trying to do this new technique that you've never done before, right? And as a result, it doesn't turn out the way that you want it to. You go out for a promotion and you don't get the job, all right? You send a message to somebody asking about if they want to join your program and they don't message you back. I really want you to think about a situation when that would happen. Those are called the facts. Those are like the things outside of ourselves, right? And when you look at those and you think about like, okay, what caused this to go wrong? There you go. Couldn't get the words out. What caused this to go wrong? Naturally, when you ask yourself a question like that, you're focused on the problem. And what that will do is it will get you to find the answers, the thoughts in here that get you to feel a certain way in your body. So if your thought is like, there's something wrong with me, I must have done something wrong, I'm not a good enough leader. Or here's a good one. If you're like going out for a position and somebody else gets it, you can go down the political route of saying, you know what? I was better than them, but they got the job because of who they know. I want you to go back though into that. And I want you to ask yourself, how does that make you feel when you think it? Because when you think it, you probably don't feel amazing thinking that you're like God's greatest gift, right? And that other person just knows people. Even if the facts are that you were more qualified than them, it doesn't help you in any way to like think about it in a negative way, all right? When you have this feeling inside of your body, let's say you're thinking that there's something wrong with you. And as a result, what that makes you feel is it makes you feel frustrated or unworthy or upset or angry. Well, you're going to start doing something as a result of feeling that way. Because what happens is when we feel a certain way, our actions are that flows through everything. That feeling of just being like disempowered or unworthy, you'll take actions that are in congruence with that feeling. You won't take another action that's actually positive. You'll continue to take these actions. And when you realize that that's actually happening, the actions that you're taking you're actually doing things to basically prove what you said initially, what your brain initially went to, which is there's something wrong with you. So as a result of maybe you trying something new and it doesn't work, you have this thought of like, hey, there's something wrong with me. You start to feel frustrated. Well, as a result, you start to resent people. You start to not take positive actions. If you're in business, you close your laptop. If you're in your career, you don't go for that next promotion. You stop showing up the way that you wanted to show up on duty. You stop being a business owner. Like all of those things, guess what, are now proof that you're right. You don't know what you're doing. There is something wrong with you. And it's because that's the programming that you put in here. So I really want you to pay attention to when that happens, when you realize that it starts to spiral out of control, when you start to get a feeling in your body that you don't like, that you know is going to take you down the path of self-sabotage, it's time to put a stop in it. It's time to put a stop in it, all right? And I want you to ask yourself some questions, all right? Well, I want you to ask some questions. I would go back to whatever that thing is on the outside, all right? This is what we like to term as in the push method. This is like your news story. This is your heart voice, all right? I want you to think about those things that you attempted, whether it's the career, whether it's the promotion, whether it's you sending that message. And I want to ask you, like, what about that, doing that thing, taking that action is important or meaningful to you? Like, why did you even do it, all right? That is a purpose-based question. That's one of the ways that we can ask questions. We teach you several other ways inside of the certification to ask questions, but a lot of people are fueled by purpose-based questions, and that's what fuels me. So I would ask that like, what about that is important or meaningful to you? Like, why did you even do it? What kind of impact is it that you're trying to make by doing that? And when you think about that, that's a great question, because when you think about that, it's going to be purpose-based. Your answer is going to be, if you actually answer it, it's going to be something related to, well, I want to make an impact in people's lives. I want to be able to help them. I want to be able to, if you're getting that promotion, I want to be able to help other people learn the skills of becoming a police officer. Like I want to be able to inspire people. I want to be able, and when you think about that, that is your heart voice, which is not sabotage. Because when you feel like this feeling of I just want to make an impact in people's lives, it gets you to feel a certain way. And when you feel a certain way, you start taking those actions now. Not when you get promoted. Now when somebody has a great response to your message, now when somebody signs up for your program, but now you take those actions, and guess what happens? You actually manifest or create those results you wanted, because you're actually doing the hard work of doing it anyway, not being tied to the facts, the things that happen outside of you, eliminating that and still showing up as the way that you want to show up. I didn't realize that this was the case, because back when I was a P2, which is a police officer 2 in LAPD, I went out for what's called an FTO position. It's a P3, where you get to teach and train the new police officers who come out of the academy. And I really want to do that. I love teaching. If you guys haven't already seen, like I could do this for all day, all night. I just love doing it, right? And so I wanted to do that. And I took interview after interview after interview, and everybody kept coming back and saying, you were the best, like you were the greatest, but this person has been waiting longer, this person has done this, or this person has done this. And even though like you were the best, like when it comes to you performing, like these other people, they're going to get the job, but we promise you that we're going to give it to you next. And that happened a couple different times. All right. Now, I could have just said, well, you know what? I haven't gotten the position yet, so I guess I'm not going to do that job. I guess I'm not going to do that. Instead, I didn't know I was doing this, like I said, because some people naturally do this. This is an area that I did do it. I started to think of, you know what? I'm going to have another FTO interview. What if I started performing the actions of an FTO right now without getting paid to do it? Not like outside of my class, but I started to like help mentor people who are police officer ones, people who are brand new, that I could actually help when their FTO wasn't helping them. I could step in and take over and really help out as much as possible. Not only would the FTO be thankful for me, but even the police officer one, the probationary officer, plus it would give me skills. And here's the greatest thing is when I went into the next interview, I was like, oh yeah, and I'm already doing this. I'm already doing it. These are the people that I've helped. This is what I've helped them learn, and I'm doing it now. So whether or not you decide to make me an FTO through this, that's okay, because I'm still going to be doing this job at the same level that I'm doing it right now. And they gave me this position. I would have never been taking those actions if I thought or felt like what immediately popped into my head was like, hey, that's not fair, right? That's not fair, because guess what happens when you think that it's not fair? It gets you to feel a certain way, and then you start taking actions with it not being fair, and you go out and prove that it's not fair. But there's no positive that comes from that version of self-sabotage. Instead, you go back into yourself, you realize, hey, I can find a thought, I can find a question that's going to help pull out of me my purpose, my potential, my love, my abundance. And when I think about that, it's going to get me to show up the way that I want to show up now, not waiting until that happens, but now. This is the process of be, do, have. You've heard me talk about it multiple times, right? Be, do, have. You got to become the person who's just doing the actions right now, and then you get to have it. It's not like you have to get promoted before you can start doing some of the activities of leading. That doesn't work, right? Like you have to actually become somebody different right now, take the actions as if you already had it, and then a result, then you get to have all of the results of that. It's the same in your business. It's the same exact thing. You've got to be, do, and then you get to have, not vice versa, okay? All right, guys, I told you I was going to get this in a microcast, even though it's been 12 minutes. I appreciate you so much. This idea of self-sabotage, it is one that like literally I have been struggling with for my entire life. It's not something that we are going to immediately wake up one day and instantaneously all of our struggles are going to be gone. No, this is a part of the process. It's equally important for you to coach yourself through it. And number two is get outside help. Sometimes our limiting beliefs and our self-sabotage, it is so close to us that we don't see some of the blind spots that we have. And when you're able to find somebody to help you identify those limiting beliefs, that's really where the power is. So find a life coach, find somebody who can help get to those subconscious beliefs that you don't even realize are like literally flowing through everything in your life, and it will be a game changer for you, okay? All right, guys, I greatly appreciate you making it to another end of a microcast episode. Please let me know if there's anything that I can ever do for you. I appreciate you so much. You guys have an incredible, incredible weekend, and I will see you next week. All right, bye, everybody.